My father collapsed in the kitchen. There was nothing theatrical about it, no grand final stand. One moment he was mid-argument over the thermostat setting. The next, he simply fell. His body hit the cold tile and his eyes locked on empty space. My name is Lucas Hale, 29 years old. I stood there and watched my stepmother, Denise, wail louder than every other person in that room combined. The volume felt forced, exaggerated. Paramedics tried for exactly 12 minutes. Then they quit. A heavy quiet settled over a house that had never really been silent before. Neighbors drifted in. Phone calls multiplied. Forms were filled out. Before anyone even moved the body, Denise was already in motion. She crossed straight to the hallway closet and yanked out my father's ancient leather jacket, the one item he refused to let anyone else so much as brush against. "Let his junk burn along with his debts," she announced flatly. Without a pause, she hurled it into the fireplace. The flames leaped up immediately, too eagerly. I don't recall choosing to act. My body just moved. I plunged my hands into the fire and hauled the jacket back out. Heat seared my palms, blistering the skin. Denise actually laughed, a short, sharp sound. "Still guarding him, even now," she said. "You have no clue what he really left behind." I stayed quiet because she was correct. I had no idea. But as I carried the smoldering jacket to my bedroom, an unease settled deep. The lining felt unnaturally heavy. The stitching along the inside was rough, amateurish, intentional. My father had never been the nostalgic type about possessions. He'd worn that jacket religiously for 2 decades, yes, but he wasn't the man to squirrel away secret casual love letters like a character from some noir film, which meant only one possibility. Something had been deliberately concealed inside it. This wasn't sentiment. This was calculation. I retrieved a small utility blade from my desk drawer. For a heartbeat I froze. Cutting into it felt like violating something sacred, but the fire had already violated far worse. I worked the blade slowly along the uneven inner seam. A faint crinkle answered. Folded paper. Multiple sheets. And underneath, something rigid and metallic. My heart rate changed. I drew the papers out first. Legal documents, account numbers, trust papers, timestamps from 6 months earlier. 6 months. Exactly when Denise began pressing him to refinance the house. Exactly when the nightly arguments ignited. I opened the final sheet. My full name typed in bold black ink. Primary beneficiary. Everything routed to me. A knock landed on my door, gentle, measured. Lucas. Denise called in that hunted tone she used when she wanted something. "You aren't doing anything foolish in there, are you?" I refolded the papers quickly, twice, and slipped them beneath my mattress. The small metal object stayed clenched in my fist. "Just tidying up," I answered through the wood. The knob rattled. "Locked." She lingered a moment outside. Then a quiet laugh drifted through. "You always did love drama," she said. "Your father left nothing except debts." Her footsteps faded down the hall. I waited until the house swallowed every sound. Then I opened my palm. A small brass key rested there, not ornamental, stamped with a bank emblem and a box number. Safe deposit. My breathing steadied. 6 months earlier, he'd started fighting her over refinancing. 6 months earlier, he created a trust naming me sole heir. 6 months earlier, he'd sewn something into a jacket he knew she despised. This wasn't random fear. This was foresight. I spread the documents open once more. The trust wasn't modest or token. It was comprehensive. The house, investment accounts, his private equity position, all redirected. Every signature clean, witness, notarized, except one clause jumped out. Activation contingent upon official confirmation of natural death. Natural. My gut twisted. My father had no documented heart condition, no prescriptions, no family history of sudden cardiac events. He complained about cholesterol and thermostats. Sure, but he ran 3 mornings a week without complaint. Yet he dropped dead in the middle of a sentence. I walked back to the kitchen slowly. Someone had already scrubbed the tile spotless. Too spotless. Denise stood at the sink, calm now, composed. "You ought to phone the estate attorney tomorrow," she said lightly. "Get clear on exactly how little is left." I studied her expression. No sorrow. No disarray, just control. And for the first time a suspicion I hadn't wanted to name rose clearly. What if the jacket wasn't the only item she'd tried to destroy? What if she was systematically erasing anything that could surface later? I didn't confront her. Confrontation is for people without evidence. I had papers. I had a key. And I had a single question that refused to fade. Natural. That night I searched my father's office, not frantically, but deliberately. Drawers already partially cleared. Denise had been organizing. His laptop and phone were missing. Police took them, she claimed when I asked, but her gaze slid away. I checked the trash. Receipts. Bank statements. A pharmacy receipt dated 2 days prior. Prescription filled, not in his name. In hers. I photographed it, then replaced everything precisely. Next morning we sat with the estate attorney. Mr. Calder, late 60s, deliberate movements, eyes like steel traps behind his glasses. He opened the folder. Denise sat beside me in black, breathing evenly. Your father revised a trust 6 months ago, Calder started. Denise shifted in her seat. Yes, she interjected swiftly. We were reorganizing finances. Calder's eyes flicked to her. Actually, Denise, the reorganization removed you entirely as primary beneficiary. The room stilled. Lucas is now sole beneficiary of all significant assets. Her grip tightened on her purse strap. That can't be right, she murmured. Calder didn't blink. It's signed, witnessed, notarized. She turned toward me slowly. You knew. No, I said, truthfully. Her mask fractured, just a flicker, then sealed again. Calder closed the file. There is one condition, he added. Denise's gaze snapped up. What condition? The trust only fully activates after the coroner confirms death by natural causes. Natural. The word lingered like smoke. Denise produced a thin smile. Then obviously it was natural. But her fingers trembled now, and I understood something cold. If the coroner ruled otherwise, the trust wouldn't merely delay. It would reveal intent. 2 days later, the coroner's office phoned. I picked up before she could reach it. Mr. Hale, the woman said evenly, we need to clarify a few points about your father's medical background. He had none, I answered. Precisely. That's what raises concern. Denise stood across the kitchen when I ended the call. What did they want? She asked. Too fast. Just routine follow-up, I said. She nodded. Too quickly. That afternoon I drove to the bank. The brass key weighed more with every step. Box 417. The manager checked my ID twice before sliding the tray out. Inside, a flash drive, a sealed envelope, a small leather notebook I'd seen my father use but never opened. I started with a notebook. Entries dated. 6 months back, Denise pushing refinance hard. Consulted Dr. Patel. Second opinion. Medication flavor strange. My breathing grew shallow. Final entry. 3 days before he died. If anything happens to me, Lucas must not trust the obvious. The obvious. I closed it gently. The envelope bore my name. Inside, a printed independent toxicology report. Traced beta-blocker compounds in his blood. He had never been prescribed beta-blockers. Last was a flash drive. I plugged it in later. Security footage. Kitchen camera. Time-stamped. Denise making tea. A tiny vial. One careful drop. I stared until the loop ended. Not cardiac arrest. Not natural. Intentional. My phone vibrated. Text from Denise. Coroner ruled natural causes. It's finished. I replayed the footage. She believed the evidence had gone up in flames with the jacket. She had no idea my father had anticipated fire. And she had no idea I was now holding everything he prepared. I didn't rush to the police. Not yet. Panic makes people sloppy. I needed her relaxed. The coroner closed the file. Cardiac arrest. Natural. No further talk screen ordered. Precisely what she counted on. That evening she poured wine in the living room. Relaxed posture. See, she said softly. Stress. That's all it ever was. I watched her from the doorway. I suppose, I answered. She smiled, relief wearing sympathy's mask. I'm glad you're not fighting this. Fight? No. I was constructing something slower. Next morning I phoned Dr. Patel. He recalled my father instantly. He was worried. Patel said cautiously, Suspected someone tampering with his supplements. I advised independent testing. He said he was keeping records. Good. Very good. I returned to the bank, duplicated the flash drive. One copy to encrypted cloud. One hidden inside the house. Same clever concealment my father had used. That night Denise brewed tea again. Same routine. Same cabinet. Same deliberate grace. She offered me a cup. I accepted, smiled, left it untouched. The footage had shown me one more detail. The vial came from her purse, not the kitchen drawer. Not routine. Premeditated. People who plan rarely quit after succeeding once. She watched me across the table. You being quiet, she observed. Thinking, I said. About how much precision it takes to make a death appear natural. Her smile held, but her grip on the mug whitened her knuckles. She understood now. Grief had ended. Observation had begun. She didn't try to poison me that night. That restraint told me plenty. She wasn't impulsive. She adjusted. Denise shifted to fragile mode. Soft voice, diminished presence, textbook widow. But real grief doesn't monitor account balances. 3 days later, she attempted a transfer from the joint account. Small. Testing. It failed. I'd already placed a flag. She entered my room without knocking that evening. They froze the account, she said, voice careful. Must be an error. I requested it. I told her. Her composure slipped. Just a fraction. You don't trust me. The performance was nearly flawless. I trust documents, I replied evenly. Silence thickened. Then she erred. You can't prove anything, she said. Not what? Not that. Anything. I studied her. You're correct, I answered quietly. Confusion flickered across her face. I rose, opened my laptop, turned the screen. Kitchen footage. The vial. The drop. Color drained from her cheeks. Genuine fear. Finally. You think that's efficient, she whispered. No, I admitted. It isn't. Truth. Video captures motion, not chemistry. She eased back, recovering. You'll ruin yourself hunting shadows. I nodded. Possibly. Then I spoke words I hadn't rehearsed. Or maybe I'll simply let you believe you're safe. That was when I saw it. Not terror, not remorse. Calculation. Renewed. She wasn't afraid of me. She feared whatever else my father had secured in that box, because she didn't know its full contents. Neither did I. Not completely. I waited. No immediate police report. No public scene. Denise anticipated drama, shouting, cuffs, headlines. Instead, I petitioned quietly for exhumation and independent autopsy. The footage alone wouldn't sustain criminal charges, but the trust clause required natural causes for activation. If reclassified otherwise, the estate wouldn't transfer. It would lock until investigation ended. Denise had no idea. 3 mornings later, she appeared at my door, ashen, clutching the court notice. You had him exhumed, she breathed. I said nothing. The second autopsy located what the first ignored, elevated synthetic beta-blocker levels inconsistent with accidental ingestion. Not enough for motor conviction. Enough to trigger suspicion. Enough to reopen every file. Accounts frozen. Estate review initiated. Insurance claims halted. The look on her face when she grasped the house no longer belonged to her. That was the instant true understanding arrived. You're destroying everything, she said. No, I answered. I'm protecting it. Weeks passed. Prosecutors declined criminal charges. Insufficient chain of custody on the substance. Technical protections favor the meticulous. Civil court requires only preponderance of evidence. She lost all claim. She departed without fanfare. No arrest. No confession. Simply consequence. I kept the jacket. Had the scorched lining restored. The trust vested fully 6 months later. Now and then I sit in my father's office and reread his final notebook line. If anything happens to me, Lucas must not trust the obvious. He never instructed me to take revenge. He instructed me to question. Denise tried to incinerate what she could not dominate. She overlooked a basic truth. Flames consume the careless. Preparation endures.